Skinheads were Martins, Martins were skinheads. Dr. Martens went hand in hand with their image. 22 Islet Cherry Reds, a bit of a acquired taste, as I would say. There's not many people can actually wear them because they're shaped for the calf. They don't actually make these anymore, so they're sort of collector's items. These are for your sort of more extreme skinheads. Some would say fascists, but not necessarily. Steel toe caps, commando soles. You wouldn't argue with someone who's got a pair of those on, put it that way. Of course, they've got to be laced up the right way, balled up again, nice shine on them. You've got these cherry red ones, do them in black as well. Usually have a pair of each in their wardrobe. Beautiful quality, lovely leather. That's the good thing about a skinhead, you'd never see them with dirty shoes.
Skinhead by Richard Allen was one of the publishing success stories of 1970. It shifted over 1 million copies and led to a host of sequels by the same author. It also marked the beginning of a pulp fiction boom period for its publisher, New English Library. Few people ever knew or met Richard Allen, who until his death remained an enigmatic and mysterious figure, despite being a cult hero to skinheads all over the world. This is the story of a phenomenon in British youth publishing.
At an editorial meeting, we had an idea for producing a book of something that was happening in Britain at that time, which was skinheads.
These youngsters don't reject society, they need it for steady daytime jobs. They don't want to opt out, just have their kind of fun in their own, sometimes savage way. And if you're feeling sad and want cheering up, you're never too young to become a skinhead.
You join a youth cult to belong to something. It doesn't matter whether it's skinhead, mod, goth, whatever, it's to belong to something. And as a kid, you're always searching for something to belong to. You're trying to find your way in life. And being a skinhead's a good way to do that. You get respect from people that you probably wouldn't get otherwise. You are somebody, you come off a council estate or people write you off, you're going to end up on the scrap heap. But for those few years, you are somebody. People respect you, people get out your way.
All I remember is early 70s. I suppose I was about 13, 14 years old when we first picked the Richard Allen books up.
Program! Program!
They were the only things like that, apart from in the blight and scrumping in the country, which didn't relate to us in any ways. We didn't go to the West Country scrumping apples. We went to football, we went to Southend on away days on bank holiday. We done these kind of things. That was probably the first book I ever read at school without being bullied into it by a teacher. The Skinhead books, because they were factual. They were about football, violence and the sex. That's what we wanted at 13, 14-year-old. We were right on it.
I was like 11 years old and a skinhead, and all of a sudden I sort of see these books in the shop and thought, oh, skinhead, what's all that about? And I thought, yeah, I'll have a read. Bought it, enjoyed it, bought the next one, bought the one after that, and just, that's it basically. I did read other books at the time, just any books on different cults, bikers, Teddy boys, just anything to do with cults, but the skinhead books was just so true to life. I think they was just like on the street. A bit of it's sort of far-fetched, but not too much. It was as you read the book and you think that could have been me last night, come out the pub and took a bird behind the flats and you know, they was always doing that, Joe Hawkins, and then come back and had a row. And it was just so true to life, his books. Joe Hawkins was the star of the book. The book was focused on a skinhead. His name was Joe Hawkins, comes from Glasgow. He was a West Ham fan, and he was an hooligan. And it's just about his life story. But he wasn't a real character, but at the time, I myself wasn't sure. And everyone else I knew, sort of half the people said it was a true person, and the other half wasn't so sure. But no one knew if he ever existed or not.
It's a shame he's dead. I'd like to bloody meet him, Richard Allen. I'd love to talk to him.
What, just see how he got all his information?
Yeah,
because if he was a skinhead in the time, or...
You know, I thought, well, whoever wrote this book must be a skinhead himself, or must be involved in football violence, or he had to be in the know. Because the way he wrote, it was just like real life, like I said, and he must have been a thug himself. Or he must have had friends who were thugs, because even if he wasn't, he thought like one in his head, so he was a secret thug.
Joe felt his boot sink deep into the tall one's groin. He lashed out again, catching the other under the chin as he sank to the ground, hands clutching the injured parts. Like an automaton, Joe kept kicking, each blow bringing him greater satisfaction as the moans of hurt rose above the screaming wind. He didn't care if he killed the hippie or not. He wanted to hurt, to rid himself of the feeling within his chest, a feeling bordering on murderous rage. Don laughed, slammed his shortened axe handle almost down the hippie's throat as the man valiantly tried to resist. It was easy, Don thought, kicking his opponent in the balls, listening to the rapturous sigh and the explosive groan. He hit the falling hippie on the head, hearing the crunch of bone against the axe handle, and kicked into the ribs.
Girls, I can't remember all the titles. I believe there were 18 of them in the end. But he took to it, and I won't say to begin with it was his favourite subject, because he wrote on so many other things. But he got on with it. It did well. It did.
According to the airport authorities, there were 189 passengers on the flight, most former Britons coming back home for a holiday. Also known to be on board is Chief Superintendent Matthew Jordan of Scotland Yard, who was escorting the skinhead cop killer, Joe Hawkins, back to prison in this country. Lottie Newman read the paper's account of the missing aircraft and suppressed a sob. Although she'd wished every horrible fate on Joe Hawkins, she did not like to think of anybody, even him, dying.
Giving something back to a cult that had given him so much over the years. I never met Richard Allen because
when George Marshall came along, Jim was very, very happy with that. You know, he was pleased. I don't think he got much money up front, but he was just very happy to be republished.
When I read all the Skinhead books and the Suede Head and all that, I thought, you know, I'll keep them forever, because it was my era, you know. It was all about me and my mates. No, I wouldn't sell them now. I was told they were £30 each now, but I still wouldn't sell them because it's, you know, they're sort of my sentimental value now. No, if you said I'll give you 30 quid for them each, I mean, I've got about 14 of them, I wouldn't. I'll keep them.
It's good to be